In this movie, I'll take this logo program that comes from Al Cuoco, Paul Goldenberg, and June Mark in their Habits of Mind article, and implement it as a Sketchpad construction. First, we'll note that the program begins with these 4 lines, which are a procedure. The procedure is named insp, and that procedure takes 2 values, an angle and an increment. So we'll begin using Sketchpad's new parameter command and creating such parameters. The angle we'll use will be 10 degrees, and the increment we'll use will be 3 degrees. That way these 2 parameters will match the parameters that are used later on in the program in calling the procedure. So that's the first line, identifying the procedure name and what parameters it requires. The second line tells an imaginary turtle what to do. It begins with forward 1 unit. So we'll simulate forward 1 unit by a short segment, which represents our imaginary turtle, 1 unit long. To move it forward 1 unit, imagine the tail of the turtle here, the head here. To move it forward 1 unit, we're going to need to translate this point to the right by this vector, by the vector representing a single unit. So that's the FD1, forward 1. The LT stands for left, so we need to turn left by the angle. The angle is 10 degrees. So we want to rotate this point to the left by 10 degrees, and it needs to be rotated about this point. So there's our 10-degree rotation that showed up right there. With the rotation done, we'll hide the translated point, so we see the result all at once of both the forward 1 and the left angle. So that completes the second line of the procedure. Now we come to the third line. The third line says to use the procedure from within itself. Call the procedure all over again using angle plus increment. Okay, let's do that. We'll calculate the value of the angle plus the increment, and that's now going to be 13 degrees. So, to call the procedure from within itself, what we'll need to do is to say repeat the original construction, but from the new turtle position that goes from here to here. So the objects that change in this recursive process are the tail and head of the turtle and the angle. Notice the increment doesn't change when we go to the next recursive call of the procedure, but only these 3 objects change. So from the transform menu, we can now choose iterate, and we get a chance to move this point to here. So that's our first match. Now we have to match the second point. The head of the turtle is now here. So we've matched the tail to this point, the head to that point, and we'll now match the angle to the angle plus the increment. We also get a table of values. We don't really care about the table of values of angle plus increment as it changes, so I'll get rid of that. But we can see that the amount of turn that we're getting is increasing with each step that the turtle takes. Now, it only takes 3 steps to begin with, so let's use the properties of the iteration to change it from 3 iterations to 1,000. That should hold us for a while. Oh my goodness, look at that. Notice that we have both the segments and these points iterated. We don't really need the iterated points, so I'm going to get rid of those. The other problem we have is that this is far off screen. So fortunately, we have a flexible unit here. We defined the unit by that original segment. And if I move this point to the right, shortening the distance between the head and the tail, we can get them close enough that we can see the whole construction. Finally, I'll do one more thing. Let's take this image and instead of making it medium thickness, let's make it hairline thickness so we can see a little bit better what it does as it goes in and out of each of these little shapes. Oh my goodness, interesting. All right, let's see what happens if we try some different input values. Instead of 10 and 3 as the initial values of the angle and increment, let's try, for instance, 10 and 4. Whoops, where'd that go? That looks like it goes a long, long way. How about 5 and 4? Well, now that's different. I'll leave it to you to do this construction yourself and experiment with the values of the parameters and see if you can figure out how it is that the values of these parameters determine the shape that we end up creating through this INSPE recursive procedure. So there you have it, the logo program implemented as a Sketchpad construction and a mathematical challenge to you to figure out why it works the way it does.